to see him. Here's the pass. Oh, what a catch! Leaping into the air and pulling it down is T. Higgins. Burrow facing pressure. Goes over the top. Wide open is Chase. And he splits the defenders for the touchdown. The Cincinnati Kid. Hubbard's got a convoy. Chased by Andrews. At the 30, the 20, he will score!
The Bengals pulse, the heartbeat of our victorious Cincinnati Bengals. Mon, thank God for the NFC West, and thank God for our defense today. You know, we have a lot to digest. The game just ended, but defensively today, it felt like the Super Bowl run, right? It felt like a defense that bent but didn't break, and down in the red zone made big plays when they needed to. Offense struggled the second half. Again, kind of a flip of the page. Start fast on offense today, and then just goes right into the tank the second half. Usually it's the opposite, but a win is a win, and it's a big win. That's a good football team the Bengals beat today, Mon. And I don't think people can really put that in perspective how good this NFC West really is this year. The Bengals 3 good wins going into the bye, and now sit at 3-3.
Yeah, I'm never going to apologize for a victory. I'm a little frustrated by it, though. Very uneven game. To our listeners, I'm sorry about the slight audio problem. The first 10 seconds there, we fixed it. I apologize. If you see me looking over my side here, I'm trying to see the ending of the Browns 49ers game. I'm sorry. Yeah. Really uneven game. The offense looks so good the first couple drives. And then, for the crowd out there that says, our offense struggled strictly because of the calf injury, Joe is much more mobile. He's doing a lot better. It was bigger than the calf. I mean, the play calling today, you just got to scratch your head at times. A win is a win. I'm happy we're 3-3, reset that season. Not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but our defense bailed us out on this one. We were fortunate to win this game, but I'll take it.
Yeah, a win is a win. And I think this, where we are right now in our season, we just need to win.
Yes.
We just need to win, right?
Yes. And
going into the bye at 3-3, this Bengals football team right now has got to feel definitely some momentum. Again, sometimes it's not always going to be pretty. We've seen this same script the last 2 years from this team, where maybe the offense does go into a hole, or the offense is struggling, and this defense again gives up yards and allows drives. Time of possession, we're going to talk about that. But when it came down to it, this Bengals defense made huge plays inside the red zone. And again, it reminded me a lot of the Super Bowl run team that we saw that almost on a weekly basis, this Bengal team and this Bengal defense making big plays when they needed to.
It made me think of the Super Bowl. Obviously, the game wasn't as big, but remember, we had the lead. We stuffed the Rams 4 straight times. The defense really stepped up to the plate. Unfortunately, we couldn't do it a 5th time. I'm like, Jake, this reminds me of this. I think the Seahawks are going to come down and score. We stopped them, got key turnovers, but the defense came up with that big stop. It's frustrating. I mean, listen, a win, I'm happy with the win. Don't get me wrong, but I'm really frustrated with this because we got a ways to go. And I'm just really worried about that offensive line. They just can't move people. They get bullied. Joe sacked 3 times in the second half. 3 times. They really stifled us. I would love to see what the stats are after our last touchdown, because I don't think we had 100 yards total offense after that. It was tough.
Well, I know this for a fact, that at one point Joe Burrow was 17 of 19 because he had completed 17 balls in a row. I mean, that's how crazy this game was, Mon. Is at one point in this game, Joe Burrow, they're talking about him beating Ken Anderson's record of 20 straight completions. He's 17 of 19. And from there on out, Mon, he goes 17 of 19. And I think he had I don't know, at that
139
time,
yards.
yeah, about a buck 40, I was going to say. I think from that point on, he was 7 of 16 for 35 yards and an interception. Just unbelievable. And you look at the frustration from Mon and I, because, you do walk away and you're frustrated. I mean, I'm frustrated with this offense, and you could see it. You could see it in Joe, because Joe is a competitor, right? You could see Joe Burrow takes that victory snap at the end of the game. He wasn't happy. I mean, Joe Burrow is not okay with that, and that's a good thing. I do think we saw a lot of good things from Joe Burrow today that reminds us of that old Joe. And again, at 17 of 19 at one point is incredible.
Yeah, I think they only had 50 offensive plays. There was a sequence that drove me crazy. They run the ball on first down to get 5 yards. They pass it on second, incompletion. Then they throw it down the field for an interception. That was in the first drive of the second half. I believe that's when that happened. Try to run the ball again. Don't go for the home run ball. Try to get 5-6 yards. Let's control the clock. We were going to come down and possibly get a field goal. The play calling, and then what was it? Maybe 3 minutes left in the game, Jake. They literally took 15 seconds off the clock and had to punt it again.
Yeah, well, that was that last drive.
Yeah,
that was that last drive. They took 15 seconds off the clock. Again, it's 2 minutes and 3 seconds left, and we throw deep on first down, which basically a wasted play. You run it on second down, 3rd and 6, and the T. Higgins penalty. So You're right, 15 seconds off the clock. I mean, that you just can't win. You can't win like that.
No.
You just can't win like that. But looking at the team stats right now, the Bengals 3 of 11 on third down. 3 of 11 on third down. Seattle 5 of 12 on third down. The big number, though, Seattle 0 for 2 on fourth down. Obviously, that's the difference in the football game. Total plays, the Bengals only had 53 total plays to Seattle's 70 to 53. It is a miracle the Bengals won this football game. Again, big props to the defense today. You talked about it all week, the time of possession. Seattle, 34 minutes almost on the dot. The Bengals right at 26 minutes. So the Bengals don't win the third down. They don't win the time of possession. But somehow they eke out one. The only thing they did win is the turnover battle, right? 2-1. And that was really the difference in the game.
Let me say this very carefully. We knew Seattle wanted to control the clock, and they did. They did that. And I sent out a tweet, I think late in the third quarter. I'm like, hey, we might only get the ball 2 more times this game.
Yeah.
And we have to make them count. We really didn't make them count.
No.
And luckily, our defense stepped up to the plate. Hats off to them. We were really upset about no pass rush first 3 quarters, and all of a sudden they woke up in the fourth quarter, got some key sacks. Hats off to them. Let's rest up and get better, because we have to, because we're playing some good teams coming up.
Yeah, we are. And we're watching right now Cleveland driving down the field. The 49ers not showing up today, unfortunately. The last stat I want to talk about, again, winning this game 17-13 is incredible. The Bengals had 214 total yards to Seattle's 381. Seattle with almost 400 total yards to the Bengals 200. And again, this defense, bend but don't break, just absolutely incredible. Let's go through these stats real quick. Joe Burrow, 24 of 35, 185, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 3 sacks. Again, all 3 sacks coming in the second half of the football game. Joe Mixon, 12 carries for 38 yards, and that is now 9 straight games, 9 straight games we do not have a 100-yard rusher. That is worse in the NFL. We have got to start running the football better. And I know we talk about it. I feel like we're a broken record, but it is what it is. 12 carries for 38 yards. I'm not a math whiz, but that's not a very good average. Jamar Chase, 6 receptions for 80 yards. I think he was targeted about 12 or 13 times. Tyler Boyd, 7 receptions, 38 yards, and, of course, the touchdown in the first half. Joe Mixon, 3 for 24. T, only 2 for 20. And, You talked about let's say this. Congratulations to Yeshivas, his first touchdown, a 3-yard touchdown reception, which Mon, I was just going crazy because Yeshivas forgot the ball, right? He just left it on the field, basically. Joe Burrow, everybody's celebrating. Joe Burrow, being the leader he is, he runs over, grabs the ball, and makes sure Yeshivas gets the ball back. So a big play by Joe. But you were talking a little bit during the game about T. Higgins and the struggles that we've seen right now. I want you to let's talk about that for a minute, because we know T. Higgins is having a rib issue right now, and he's gutting it out right now for this football team, and hopefully he comes back healthier. But we are seeing some things that we're not used to seeing from T. Higgins, right?
Yeah, it's definitely. I think he's guarding the ribs a little bit. He had a few targets, had a couple good catches, but still, he doesn't seem that comfortable out there. I salute him for being tough. He's, a lot of guys would take the week off. Hey, we got the bye coming up next week. Let me just rest up another week. He wanted to be out there and play. He's a tough guy. He just didn't look as comfortable today, and we're going to have to chalk that up to the rib issue. I want to pick up on something on the running game. They had a 3rd and 1, and they got stuffed.
Yes.
They just can't run the ball. They decided to punt the ball, and after that, I don't know what it is. It's a combination of things. It's play calling, obviously. I don't think Zach. The Bengals are a pass-first team. Zach, a lot of fans on Twitter, us, complain about his play calling. He doesn't like to run the ball a lot. I think it's personnel also. I think our offensive line is underperforming some compared to last year. That big 10-game win streak we had last year, you could trace it to the offensive line really gelling, playing
I agree.
well.
I agree.
And I think they're underperforming. Bolson's struggling. He hasn't taken that next step. And let's face it, our center and right guard, I don't think they're playing as well as they were last year. Mm-hmm. Hopefully that changes, but the offensive line as a whole is underperforming. That's my opinion. And we just have to get better production out of our run game. We are never going to be a run-first team. I get that. But we have to be better at running the ball. We can't have 25-minute time of possessions. Our 3 key big losses this year, the time of possession was the same, and we lost. We're lucky to – I'm not going to apologize for a victory, but we need to consider ourselves fortunate when you look at that stat line.
Well, let's look at the defense and these guys that just played their tails off today. Logan Wilson, the leading tackler with 11 tackles, he was all over the field, man. I thought Logan played really well. He also had a sack, 2 TFLs as well for him. Dax Hill chimes in with 8 total tackles. Cam Taylor-Britt, 7 tackles, an incredible interception from CTB. Once again, we see him making some great plays out there. But probably the best play is that play in the red zone where he knocks that ball down. Again, very well could have been a touchdown in the difference of the game, but he makes a great play there. They run kind of an out-breaking route with Tyler Lockett, and Cam Taylor-Britt gets his hand in and knocks it down. So big game for Cam Taylor-Britt. Sam Hubbard throws in a sack. Trey Hendrickson throws in a sack. Cam Sample throws in a sack. And then we saw the one at the end, B.J. Hill throwing in a sack fumble there, which I'm not sure if they called that a sack or not. But the Bengals did take the snap from the 10, so I'm assuming they did call that a sack. But again, the D-line, the whole game, you and I are like, why are we not getting pressure? Why are we not getting pressure? And then the fourth quarter rolls around, and here comes the pressure, right? Here comes the D-line, and the reason why we have all that money dumped into that D-line, they played great there in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, 3 of those sacks came in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
When we definitely needed them. Mm-hmm. I just hate seeing the stat line. The defense, Seattle had 75 offensive snaps. Our offense had 51. 75 plays our defense had to play today. That's
a lot.
Yeah, if you look like I said it, the Browns game, the Ravens game, the Titan game, that's what happened to them then. They had 67, 70 snaps.
Yeah.
It's just hats off to them. They really stepped up to the plate. They made those key plays. But I'm telling you, that's not sustainable. Having your defense on the field for 75 snaps isn't sustainable. If that continues to happen, it's going to be a long season for us. We have got to get that rectified. And it's the offense time of possession, running the ball better is going to fix that.
I agree 100%. Let's talk about Mike Hilton's big interception there in the red zone. Again, another turning point of this game by the defense. What an incredible play by Mike Hilton. And again, I think something that we've all been waiting for as fans this year is to see the old Mike Hilton. And I'm going to put that in quotes because I think Mike Hilton is a great football player. But the old Mike Hilton making big plays there in the red zone like we saw him make in the playoffs a couple years ago. So big play by Mike Hilton. And again, the defense steps up and play after play. We saw a lot of rotating at the defensive line, primarily because, like you said, the Bengals defense basically were on the field for almost 80 snaps. We saw a Jermaine Pratt that looked a little banged up, right? I feel like we're going to hear something about him playing through an injury. We saw him with kind of the shoulder thing after the end of the Cardinals game, but he looked a little dinged up today. What do you think?
Yeah, he did. He looked like he took some friendly fire on one of the tackles. He seemed to be dragging his arm a little bit. Didn't miss some time. He came back in and played. One great thing that I saw today, Seattle is a rushing team. We held them to 87 yards rushing. That's good for that defense. The defense really played stout against the run. So hats off. That was our weakness coming into this game.
Yeah.
25
Agreed.
Carries for 87 yards.
I'll
take that any day.
And 20 of those yards from Geno Smith. So really, those are broken plays. I think they ran one quarterback draw, but really only giving up 67 yards on 21 carries. Not bad for the defense.
Kenneth Walker is a great running back, one of the best in football. So that's a good thing. We talked about it last week. We think the defense is turning the corner. They did give up some explosive plays today, but they rebounded, holding a good Seattle team to 13 points. That is a good thing. No apologies for that. My frustration that I've given you on this episode 88 of the Bengals Pulse is on the offense. We have got to get better and inconsistent compared to how we looked last week against the Cardinals. So, a win is a win.
Win is a win.
It is, and we got a week off to get better and healthier. Joe's going to get better, and we'll piece it together. We'll get that offensive line playing a little better, and maybe Zach Taylor will reflect and start running the ball a little bit more.
Well, we're going to have to, right? Because you got Murderers Row coming. You got the Niners, who, again, I know they're struggling today. They're still a good football team. And the Bengals have to go out to San Francisco
Browns
and play.
Just took the lead, minute 40 left.
Minute 40 left. What is it, 1917?
Sure is.
1917. But, yeah, so I think you have to look at this team right now and where they sit, injuries aside. We did see the Orlando Brown on the sideline for those last two drives. Cody Ford was in at left tackle. They said there was some kind of a groin issue. So sounds like the bye coming at a very good time. Orlando Brown hopefully getting healthy. T. Higgins getting healthier, right?
Yes.
We need to see that old T coming out of the bye, and then Joe Burrow just continuing to get healthier. But Joe Burrow looked good today. I mean, he looked like the old Joe Burrow that first half. Second half, I don't know if it was scheme or play call or what was going on, but, kudos to the Seahawks. They played great defensively the second half.
They did. I'll be Captain Obvious here. Joe was barely touched in the first half. All three of the sacks that he took were in the second half. And I think the Seahawks realized at halftime, like, hey, if we give this guy time, he's going to kill us. He's going to put 40 on us. Right. So they started blitzing. They started rushing. They started getting to him, and it threw things off. We needed to adapt a little bit, but we really, really struggled after halftime. And like you read off a few minutes ago, we had about 40 yards passing in the second half.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I'm going to say it one more time, guys. The Cincinnati Bengals need to run the ball more than 15 times a game. That's just drives me crazy. Drives me crazy.
I'm with you, man. I would really like to know how many total yards we had the second half. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think we were probably right around 50 total yards. I mean, it couldn't have been more than that, especially after we looked so good. I can't imagine it being more than that. Obviously, we have the game on right now, and
sorry about that, guys. I'm looking over here.
We'll stay with it. I want
I do want to talk about, hopefully we end this thing with a 49ers win and we can talk about this division and how it looks. The Ravens already won earlier today. They go 4-2. Again, I don't want to harp on this. I want to let it go, but it's so hard when you watch the Ravens and the Titans playing football. They are just not good, man. The Ravens and the Titans are just not good football teams. And this Bengals team wasted opportunities, right? That's the best way I can say it. It just wasted opportunities. Tannehill looked awful today against us. He looks like an all-star. Again, I know we have to let those things go and move on. We're 3-3, but it is disheartening when you see that. Hopefully the Niners pull off one here and drop the Browns to 2-3. We are 3-3, and that's a good thing. That's what's important.
It is a reset of the season. I would have liked to see the Titans win today. I sent out a tweet concerning, the Titans are so bad. How did we lose to them? I know how we lost to them, and it created this giant debate on Twitter. I wasn't trying to do that. I was just showing some frustration because they looked really bad at that time. But still, going back to that game and some other games, sometimes I feel like we lose some physicality on the offensive line. We get pushed around too much. I think that's a reason we can't run. Sometimes we just can't pick up these short yardage conversions. It's frustrating. And I think that's why Zach sometimes decides to throw the ball on 2nd and 5 and 3rd and 5. We just got to get better. We need to regain that mojo we had last year with that offensive line, because there was a stretch last year they were playing very, very good football.
Very good football.
And, they're just playing okay right now.
So let me ask you, let's talk about that really quick. Volson right now is struggling. And, I don't want to call anybody a weak link or anything like that, but he right now is it feels like a lot of the pressure we're getting is from the interior of the offensive line. And I think Volson right now struggling. Maybe it's the sophomore slump, they call it. I don't know what it is, but he is struggling right now. Let me ask you, you have that. You have the struggle in the run game. Do you see the Bengals this bye week going out and trying to make a trade, trying to maybe upgrade this roster? The trade deadline's coming up. Do you see that happening? We saw their teams right now, Minnesota Vikings included in that. I think the Denver Broncos we saw as well. There's some teams right now that are trying to go out and, let people know, hey, we're willing to make some trades here. Do you see the Bengals upgrading this roster at all?
Good question. I saw on Twitter all the players that are potentially available from teams. There's going to be fire sales. I hope they look, but the Cincinnati Bengals do not want to give up their draft capital. They are so important to this organization. They don't like giving up 6th or 7th round picks. They want to keep them. If there's a player out there, maybe they could get maybe for a future draft pick, maybe not this upcoming draft, the one after. Maybe they should. They need to look at potential tight end, maybe interior offensive line. I would like to see that. I just, this team right now, I don't think we're taking it to the next level. We really were depending on second-year players to really take that next step. Volson hasn't done that yet.
That's a good point.
Zach Carter hasn't done that yet. Dax Hill has played very well. Tyson Anderson is a special teamer.
Yeah.
There's a lot of second-year players that are expecting a big jump. Carter's playing a lot. Volson starts every game. They've shown flashes, but it's just not gone to that next level, and I think that's hurting them a little bit. Some players that we lost Von Bell, his replacement. Nick Scott, is a work in progress. Our tight end, Irv Smith, is a work in progress. He hasn't played as well as Hayden Hurst. I think that team, we're struggling because of some of these replacements haven't been at the par of last year's player. Still got a lot of games left. They can get better. We're 3-3. That's a lot better than what we were a couple weeks ago. We've won 3 of our last 4, so that's a positive thing. Let's get healthy and get ready for these 49ers who appear to be.
They're driving, baby. They're driving right now. They're on Cleveland's 26-yard line, 1st and 10.
What happened to the game?
I don't know. It switched over to the Lions-Tampa game.
Why don't you hand me that controller?
Okay, I'll do that. Let me. This is the last thing I want to talk about, Mon, because I was standing from the rooftops, and I don't like to ever admit that I'm right, Mon. I'm a very humble person, but I'm standing at the rooftops wanting the Bengals to draft Sam Laporta, wanting the Bengals to upgrade this tight end position. And we have seen zero production from the tight end position. Last week, there wasn't even a tight end, I think, that was targeted in the Cardinals game. The Bengals are missing. You said it just a minute ago. Hayden Hurst, losing him has been rough on this offense. Do the Bengals go out and upgrade the tight end position? Because they need to. I'm going to be honest with you. If there's any position right now this Bengals team needs to go get somebody, it is at tight end. Because that tight end, and again, I know the Bengals like to go 4 wide and all that, but when this offense is rolling, it's rolling when CJ Uzomah was involved, when Hayden Hurst was involved. That's when this offense is rolling, because when you have a tight end that creates those kind of mismatches, it's a huge advantage on offense, especially when you have the best quarterback in the NFL.
Jake, I agree with you.
It's frustrating.
They could maybe add somebody at the trade deadline. This is going to be more of an off-season discussion, but I agree with you. Let me add on to it. I forgot who tweeted this. This is not a knock on Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon's been phenomenal, but it would be great to have a home run threat running back.
We talked about that a little bit too, right? Here we go. Wait, Mon, hang on. The Niners are setting up. Oh, and Cleveland calls a timeout. 9 seconds left. 41-yard field goal.
Bengals pulse. Check the camera.
So go ahead, and we're in the middle of a timeout right now, Mon. Go ahead and say what you were going to say real quick.
I was just talking about.
We're talking about the tight end, right?
We're talking about tight end, the running backs. I mean, it might have been Joe Goodberry that said this. That this offense will need to evolve, and I agree. A home run threat at running back, a dynamic tight end. We just don't have that. And with these unbelievable wide receivers, that might be the next step. But this might be more. I think we're jumping 15, 16 weeks into the future right now, maybe 18. But this is something that I think that's going to happen. Guys, I'm going to be quiet for a second. Here's a kick. 9 seconds left.
Come on.
17, 19.
Come on. And it is. Oh, no. He missed it. Unbelievable, Mon. Misses a 41-yard field goal.
The Browns are going to win. They beat the 49ers.
They are 3-2. Unbelievable. Can you believe that?
Wow. Disappointment.
41-yarder.
At least our Bengals won, guys. Our Bengals won.
That's the important thing, right? Well,
a lot more football to
A
play.
lot more football play. Before we go, we're not ending it on that crap. I cannot believe they just lost. I can't believe the 49ers just lost to the Cleveland Browns. Although Christian McCaffrey didn't play the entire game. Going to be interesting to see what his injury is. But still, losing to P.J. Walker is not good. Okay, real quick before we get out of here, there was an announcement today, Mon. Our good friend, Tony, I mean, I really don't know if there's anybody more deserving than Tony winning the Fan of the Year. So congratulations, Tony. He does so much for the community, not just the community up in the Cincinnati area, but all over the country. Anytime there's a storm, he's there to help people out. A very deserving Fan of the Year. Congratulations, Tony, on winning the Fan of the Year for the Cincinnati Bengals.
He's
awesome.
a great guy, Tony the Tiger. Very happy for him. I met him a few years ago in Jungle to the Hall in Canton. Great guy. Just him and his wife, amazing Carrie, just amazing people. And I'm happy for him, and they got it right.
They got it right. Congratulations, Tony. All right, guys, that is another edition of the Bengals Pulse. As always, if you like this podcast, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Make sure that you check us out on all the podcast platforms, Apple, Stitcher, Spotify. Make sure if you go on there and like it, you give us that 5-star review, Mon. I would very much appreciate that. As always, follow Mon at The Fire Mon on Twitter. Follow me at Coach Jake Owens 9 on Twitter. Follow our producer, Eric, who is up in Cincinnati right now on Twitter, eFlash with 2 H's, 88 on Twitter. And as always, follow the Bengals Pulse on Twitter, at Bengals_Pulse9 on Instagram. The same without the app, Bengals_Pulse9. And as always, guys, check out all the awesome podcasts right here on the Wincinnati Podcast Network. He is Mon. I am Jake. Hoo day, Bengal fans. We'll see you soon.